make up your mind?
I'm still trying to make my mind. I mean, today is me being transparent that I'm exploring this. I hadn't started fundraising, and I knew that when I started fundraising and I sent out invitations saying that I'm not accepting money from real estate developers, I'm not accepting any contribution over $250, I'm not accepting money from lobbyists or anyone who work at lobbying firms or corporate PACs, that would get out there. And instead of having it get out there, I wanted to be transparent about it. I wanted to put it out there and let New Yorkers know that I'm exploring this. It's going to be hard because I'm going to need thousands and thousands of contributions since my self-imposed limit is $250. And so this is the very early stage, no formal announcement. I'm not getting out ahead of the presidential candidates in 2020. It's just me being transparent with the public and with the media about what my plan is and about what I'm going to stick to.
And why set that limit?
Why set that limit? Because I think that for me, I want to just, the whole point in this is to show that no one is going to have influence. If I decide to run, if for some reason it worked out for me, no one's going to have a huge level of influence with me. I'm going to take that out. The contribution limit was already lowered, and I'm lowering it myself. And we have such a good matching system in New York City that $250 is going to get an 8-to-1 public match. So I think that I can do this on small dollars.
What's the point of raising money to run for mayor if you're not going to actually pull the trigger and run for mayor?
Well, you have to be ready. You can't wait. I mean, the primary is being moved up to June of 2021 instead of September of 2021. So it's basically 30 months away. And you can't, everyone else who we know is running for mayor, they all have huge stockpiles of money. And if I decide that I want to do this, I have to be prepared in some way. And so I wanted to be open and transparent about what I'm doing.
Put some thought into this. Put some thought into this. When did you change your mind and decide that you're actually interested in running for mayor? A year ago, you said you weren't.
It's been a bit of an evolution. When I told the Times a little more than a year ago that that's how I felt, that is how I felt. But being in this position over the course of the last year, negotiating with the administration, working with my colleagues, working on things in government I had never worked on before, it's been a real evolution. So it wasn't an epiphany, it didn't happen in one moment, it sort of built. And I wanted to, before I started outwardly fundraising and having events where I'm going to talk about this publicly, I wanted to let the press know first before it kind of got out there on its own. And then you all might say, well, why didn't you say this to us? Why are you saying this to donors but not to the press? And that's why I did.
What's the threshold for a decision?
Well,
that is what distinguishes you, or are you trying to make what distinguishes you this sort of going around?
I mean, I think one of the things that I've tried to do in my time, not just in a year as speaker, but in 5 years in the council, is I'm really open. I'm open about my HIV status. I'm open about the fact that I'm clean and sober from drugs and alcohol for 9.5 years. I'm open with the struggles that I faced. And so I haven't tried to play things in a cute way. I kind of live my life the way I live my life, and that's sort of, this is another step in that direction. I want to be mayor. If I decide to run for mayor, I love New York City, and I think the city faces big problems, a crumbling subway system, NYCHA that needs to be blown up and start over, income inequality. There are huge issues in the city. Those issues will come later on when the campaign formally starts, and these are issues I've been working on as speaker over the last year and 5 years in the council, and we'll talk more about it. And then the other thing is, this campaign is not going to formally start for a long time. I have to focus on being speaker. I have to focus on being a good speaker. I have to work with my colleagues. I have to make sure we pass a budget and legislate appropriately and do our oversight. That's what I need to do. That's what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, I have to start fundraising, and so that's why I made this
What's
announcement.
the threshold for a decision? Do you have a timeline?
Well, there wasn't a real threshold for this decision. It was kind of just kind of a gut feeling. It was an evolution, and I think the same thing will probably happen over the course of the next 18 months to 2 years as we get through the 2020 presidential election. I think 2021 will likely come into focus, and other candidates may not be having this press conference today, but they're out there saying they're running for mayor, and they've been fundraising and saying it behind closed doors. I wanted to say it openly and publicly and not be cute about it.
Where do you think your first stop will be? I know you said you'll be doing small house parties? Do you know your first stops in specific boroughs or places?
It's mostly just going to be with friends, like close friends that have always supported me. So people that have supported me in the past, and these are going to be low dollar events. The maximum I'm taking from an individual is $250. And so I'm going to try to pack as many people in the room as possible. Today, in the last 5 hours, I've seen a pretty gigantic influx of contributions immediately, which was actually pretty shocking to me.
How many?
I don't have an exact number, but it has been like a lot right away. And so I'm excited about that, and that feels nice.
How would you be different from other mayors like Mayor Bloomberg or our current mayor?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's nothing that can fully prepare you to be mayor of New York City. I think any mayor would probably tell you that. But
Stylistically.
I kind of am, what you see is what you get, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and there are good things about that, and there are not good things about that. But you can tell when I'm in a good mood. You can tell when I'm emotional. You can tell when I'm upset. I'm a bit of a crier. I'm a bit of a lip syncer. I'm a bit of a workaholic. I confess my love openly to Lady Gaga and my love to New York City. I joke that I'm single, but I'm in an LTR with NYC because I love this city, and I look forward to continuing to work on behalf of 8.6 million New Yorkers as my job as Speaker, but over the course of a potential campaign.
Do you think he'll be a better mayor than Mayor de Blasio?
Oh, I don't know. It's not for me to stand here and write anyone's biography. I think the mayor has had some real accomplishments, but I think each person who runs for mayor is going to have a vision of New York City. Each person who is mayor are going to have things they've done well and haven't done well. There are things as Speaker that I think I've done well, and there are things that I could do a better job at. And hopefully, after 1 year, I've learned some lessons, and I'll do better. And it's a learning process. We elected officials are human beings too. And one thing that I haven't shied away from in the past, over this past year, is apologizing. Apologizing when I've made mistakes, apologizing when the city, I think, has made mistakes and have been unwilling to apologize. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And so, I'm just, I'm not joking when I say this. There are many, many days, majority of days, when I walk up those steps of the building right over there, City Hall, that I still literally pinch myself. I grew up in public housing. My family had no money. I came to New York at 19 years old with 2 bags, knowing one person. I never thought that being Speaker was possible. I never thought that I'd be standing here in front of you all having this discussion. So the world has sort of been my oyster for 17 years in New York City, and we'll continue to see what the future holds. You can't really predict it. You have to go with it. That's what I've done. And in my sobriety for 9.5 years, I've lived my life one day at a time. I've stayed sober one day at a time. That's how I've kept my sobriety. And that's what I'm going to do moving forward in this job as Speaker and in exploring a potential campaign. One day at a time, a day at a time. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to stay sober. I'm going to be a happy warrior for the people of New York City, and hopefully be a cheerleader that tries to get things done.
There's a lot of Ed Koch in what you just said. Is that
There's a lot of what?
There's a lot of Ed Koch in what you just said. Sort of being the happy warrior for the city. Is that sort of the model mayoralty you pursue?
No, you saying that, I didn't pick this location purposefully at the foot of the bridge when there was a transit strike and Koch came out of the building and started screaming, "How am I doing?" to everyone who was coming across the bridge. You just kind of gave me a flashback of that. I watched Koch, the documentary, a few weeks ago. I had seen it other times before. No, I'm not trying to model myself over anyone. I mean, I'm Corey David Johnson. As I've said before, it's like La Cage aux Folles. I am what I am. That's who I am. That's it. It's like what you see is what you get.
Speaker, one of the issues in the Speaker's race when you were running was there was some concern about having a white man in this leadership position, given that the mayor, white man is the controller. I know we have a race for public advocate right now, but right now there are no women who are running for mayor that we know of in 2021. How would you address people who say, look, we need diversity at the highest levels of city government, especially in the next mayor?
I agree. I think that's right. And I hope that there are women that run for mayor. I hope there are people from all experiences of life who run for mayor. I've said in the past, I am not a person of color, and so my life experience can never in any way be analogous to institutional racism that people of color may face, and then institutional sexism that women may face in society every single day. I've had my own struggles. I've talked about being openly gay, being HIV positive, being sober, coming from a family that didn't have a lot of money. That is not the same thing as being a woman or being a person of color, but I hope that it's given me a level of sensitivity and compassion and empathy. And I think that in my 5 years in public office, I fought for issues that matter for marginalized and vulnerable communities, and I'll continue to do that. Anyone else?
Do you think that
Jill?
other candidates should commit to accepting lower levels of contributions, whether at your level or below the limit?
It's up to them. I mean, people have to do what they think is best. I think that this is the best thing to do. That's why I'm doing it. But I also think it's going to be very, very hard. This is not going to be easy to be able to get thousands of contributions at $250. It can take a lot of hustle, a lot of legwork, a lot of house parties and organizing, but I think it's the right thing to do. People have serious gentrification and overdevelopment concerns all throughout New York City. You hear it in all 5 boroughs, you hear it in every single neighborhood, you hear about it all over the city. They think that real estate have too much influence in the city, and I think this is a way to show that I'm not going to be beholden to anyone if I decide to make this decision.
Great.
Yes.
Has been kind of coy about officially saying he's running for mayor. Are you trying to draw a contrast by being so open about this?
No, this is not about drawing contrast to anyone. It's really me I knew if I didn't stand out here and say this today, and I started fundraising, and I send out a 2021 event in March, and I said no contributions more than $200, no real estate developers, no corporate PACs, no lobbyists, you all would have said, what are you doing? How come you haven't told us about it? So instead I said, before I start making those phone calls, before I start setting those events up, I'm going to be transparent, I'm going to talk about it, that's the way I'm going to do it. Thank you all so much. Thanks.